A few weeks ago, I asked you all to rate all the major ships in Wings with Fire, and 2,000 of you responded. Absolutely incredible. So I crunched the numbers, ran the analyses, and made this tier list based on those results. Also, I actually already made this video like a year ago, but I missed some not quite safe for work art in one of the icons. It was so small and pixely, you literally couldn't see anything, but I figured I'd take it down myself before YouTube got mad and did it for me, so here we are a year later remaking it. And since I still have the old results, I think it'll be really interesting to compare and see how things have changed since last time, so that'll be at the end if you're interested. And I'm also remaking the character tier list, so if you want your vote counted in that one, you can find a link to the poll in the description, and now it's time to rank some ships! Kicking it off strong is Clay and Peril, the slowest burn I've ever read. See, the best part about remaking a video is I get to reuse all the old jokes I've already written. Seriously though, it's been 15 books and they're still somehow not officially canon, except they basically are. Anyway, they're awkward interactions and Peril's fiery passion. Okay, sorry, I'll stop. They're cute together. This ship, according to all of you, is the tippy top of A tier. Tsunami, the first arc relationship with probably the least amount of page time of any of them. Despite that though, it somehow still fared very well. A tier, just barely below Clairol. Honestly, people explained why it was good last time, and I still kind of don't get it, but that's okay. Moving on, Glory and Deathbringer. I am so happy to tell you that since last year, this ship moved from upper A tier to the top of A+, bordering on S. Look, I'm not saying my rap battle skewed the votes. It definitely didn't. That came out like after all of the votes were already in. I just love to see these two cuties. And speaking of two cuties, Orchid and Mangrove, one of the most wholesome and healthiest relationships in the series, is between two background characters, but that doesn't matter when they are as good as these two. And they aged like fine wine. They moved up to A+ this time around. Okay, Fierceteeth and Strongwings take our first spot at the top of C tier. Not a whole lot of love, not a whole lot of hate either. They just kind of existed, and people lean towards slightly below mediocre. Starflight and Sunny, on the other hand, are also C tier, but at the opposite end. They went down pretty far, actually. People were not Team Sunnyflight in this voting round. And I can only assume that's because they were Team Starspeaker, which made it into B tier. People preferred Fatespeaker and Starflight over Starflight and Sunny. But what about the combo of Fatespeaker and Sunny, two cute little balls of kindness and joy? Yeah, people hated them together. They got D tier. Why? I think they're so cute. I don't know. Maybe they work better as friends or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, Coral and Gill, we don't actually get much, if any, of their interactions, but what we do see in the books is how they really love each other, even when the other one isn't around. Gill does a great job of keeping Coral, what's the right way to say this? Not psychotic? Yeah, things don't go very well when he dies, but at least they were good when he was there. B tier. Okay. Burn Scarlet. This one is super exciting because it's a great example of sample bias. So put your stats hats on because you're about to learn some data science. So on the first tier list, I didn't actually ask about these two. They were only on the list because a good chunk of people requested them in the extra section, and everyone who requested them rated them pretty high, so they got like B+. But then I actually put them on the list in this one, and the average rating from everyone was F tier, and that just goes to show that you really have to be careful because the people who cared enough to give them a rating unprompted had a very different set of beliefs than the majority of the population. So if we base our rating off only the people who bring them up, our results are going to be way off, and that is what we call sample bias. Okay, you can take your stats hats off now. I'm done. I mean, you don't have to. Stats hats are always fun to wear, but moving on. And Blister and Marosir are the exact same way. They were originally B tier based on people's suggestions, but now that everyone is rating them, they are F tier. Wow, people really don't like villain pairs. Thorn times Stone Mover. It's a relationship that started well but ended when Stone Mover was too much of a coward to pursue his true love, or perhaps he was brave enough to avoid his true love, knowing what he might eventually turn into. Either way, they were alright. You guys rated them B tier. Thorn and Smolder. Okay, this one I still don't get. Smolder is, as I've said before, a completely wet noodle, and Thorn is so cool. What does she see in him? I have no idea, but whatever. If he makes her happy, I guess, fine. C tier, doesn't bother me. Foam Smolder, the questionable artwork. Too bad Oasis was not about that romance. Smolder really should have known better and ended up getting Palm's sister stuck in jail until she went insane. What a great time, C tier, and now just slightly behind Thorn and Smolder. Glacier and Blaze, bottom of A tier. I always felt these two had more of a mentor-mentee relationship, but Blaze's optimistic silliness does contrast pretty well with Glacier's stoic personality. I think they would have made a pretty cute royal couple. And I guess Glacier just has a thing for Sandwings because she and Jerboa 3 also made it into A tier, but just slightly higher than Glacier and Blaze. Something about their mutual respect for one another. Anemone and Tamarin, I am glad I included it this time because they are a rather popular one. Some of you loved it, and some of you were indifferent. Ultimately, it ended up solidly in B tier. Lots of potential for the future, but just not quite enough content to say for sure. Now, Turtle and Peril, good friends in the books and only friends in your hearts. They take a spot in D tier. Oof. Sorry, all you Peril Turtle shippers out there. Ooh, Turtle and Kinkajou. Personally, I really like this ship for the sole reason that Turtle is just so darn respectful of Kinkajou. I can't say for sure if she's going to end up liking him back, but you know, at least they're taking things slow and doing them right. As for all of your opinions, A tier, very good ship. Now, Winter and Kinkajou is an entirely different story. I included them this time because enough people asked last time, and it went about as well as I expected. That's an F tier. And Moon and Kinkajou, they take it up a notch and make it into D tier. Wow. My personal opinion is that they work amazingly as best friends, and for me, at least, that takes away from any romantic aspects of their relationship. I'm assuming that's why people rated them so low, but all I really know is that people do not like them as a ship. And maybe that's because Moonblee exists. A+, baby! Let's go! They're just so good for each other, like puzzle pieces that fit perfectly. They complete each other, and that is why they are so high on this list. Okay, Moon and Winter, one other side of this big love triangle. Ooh, yeah, this one fell to the bottom of D&D tier. It is not the fandom's favorite. So sorry, Winter Watchers, it just wasn't meant to be, at least not in the eyes of the masses. Kinter. I love these two. They're my crack ship. They are so fun to watch together and also have some great moments together. They get B tier, and I just love that for them. And of course, we can't talk about a love triangle without also talking about the throuple. They landed collectively in C tier. So I think the main takeaway from this is that adding Kibli to anything makes it better. Okay, well, maybe not anything. Kibli and Umber somehow managed to fall even lower than Winter and Kinkajou. This ship springs from, I think, one line in book 6 when Moon is hearing the thoughts of other dragons and comes across Umber thinking some things about Kibli. And in all fairness, who wouldn't think those things? I mean, in any case, these two ended up at the bottom of F tier. But not quite the very bottom. See, Blister and Vulture went even lower. I don't know what you all have against villain pairs, but guys, I gotta say, they're not that bad. Well, anyway, speaking of sneaky villain pairs, Snowflake and Snowfox do manage to break the mold and make it into B tier, so I don't know, maybe it's because these two have canon interactions and they actually seem to care for each other or something. Whatever the case is, people like them a lot more than Blister and Vulture. That's for sure. Foeslayer and Arctic, like Romeo and Juliet, but instead of dying after like a week of being in love, they escape, live their lives, and eventually realize it's a good idea to know someone for more than a couple days before deciding to spend the rest of your life with them. Whoopsies! But hey, at least they had one kid who was pretty cool, B tier. And on the subject of pretty cool kids, Whiteout and Thoughtful, easy A+. These two are so cute. Something about being able to understand each other in a way that no other characters can makes this ship really something special. They're so good for each other. Oh, Clearsight, Darkstalker. This is without a doubt my favorite ship in the series and in all of literature. I'm such a sucker for the whole two characters could see the future and know they belong with each other trope. I don't even know if you can call it a trope. The only other place I've seen it is in Dune. I loved it in the Dune book. I loved it in the Darkstalker book. I've heard it's in the Raven Boy series too, which I do plan to read someday, but I haven't gotten to it yet in the year since it was recommended to me on the last video. Well, with just such an emotional story with so many ups and so many downs and so much pain and betrayal and heartbreak, they managed to weave their way into A tier. Clearsight and Sunstreak, on the other hand, stopped at B. I think people like the idea of these two of Clearsight finally finding the happiness she deserves, but they just don't have enough page time time to bring out any strong opinions one way or the other. Oh, Fathom and Indigo, our very first S tier. These two were super popular, and for good reason. They pine after each other for an entire book, and the whole "you're the only dragon I'd ever break my vow to never use magic for" thing was so cute! Except he also broke that vow for Clearsight so they could stop Darkstalker. I don't know, I try not to think about it too hard because they are one of the most loved ships in the fandom, and they take a spot in S tier. Luna and Swordtail. In the first video, the poll came out right before book 15, and these two were in A tier. Now that book 15 is out and most people have read it, they moved up into A+, and I fully support that. Their relationship was like one of my favorite parts of book 15. So much good backstory to them, the rebels of my heart. And on the other side of rebelliousness, we have Blue Cricket, the forbidden romance. Also, our second S tier relationship. I still don't really get this one. Yes, they are very wholesome and sweet and lovely, but it happened so fast. Like, the first time they meet is her helping him hide from the Hivewings, and they go into the library together, and the conversation is basically just Cricket going, "You're really cute," and then Blue thinking to himself, "No, you." And then the poison from his bracelet knocks him out, and then he wakes up and they're in love. Like, what? But when? And then they just never develop past that. Like, there's a little conflict in the, oh, will he confess his love? She is a Hivewing after all, but that was never actually an issue for them. So well, you know how it goes. The data does not lie. That is where it belongs, at least in the eyes of the 2,000 people who rated these ships. Okay, Jam Apple or Apple Jam, which is it? I don't know, but again, these two were a couple that didn't get any page time until pretty much book 15, and much like Luna Swordtail, they jumped up an entire tier after their cute little hammock scene. Now, Snowfall and Lynx, they have a very, very similar vibe to Ghibli and Winter, at least in my opinion, but it's a little more sparkly and a little more canon. And this is where I made a weird noise last time. I'm not making that noise again. Okay, moving on, Snowfall and Sky. Yeah, they were shipped, I guess, D tier? I don't really have anything else to say, to be entirely honest with you. Ivy and Leaf, our only human couple on this list. Yes, Rendauntable was a thing on the last one, but I kind of forgot to add it to the poll, and they were like B tier, so Leaf, Ivy take up our last spot in B tier, and that was pretty much that. They were nice. Now, before I talk about our final ship, I just wanted to mention a few suggestions you all made because there were some good ones. First up was... Make it stop! Make it stop! 3 minutes. So those were some suggestions that made me smile, and of course our final ship, the reigning champion, which still holds the title of most popular. Sun, Dew, and Willow, the best ship in the eyes of these 2,000 people without a doubt. Gosh, can we get a like and subscribe for how consistently top tier these two are? Am I using their popularity in a thinly veiled attempt to help me reach the channel's goal of 50k subscribers by the end of summer? Yes. Do I feel bad? No. Okay, but seriously, if you want my take on why these two are so well written, I did actually make a video about it. But I'll just say right here, there was a lot of thought put into how the relationship of these two was written, and I think it really showed. So that's the updated tier list, and as promised, here's where everyone was in the list from a year ago. I think there are some remarkable similarities and a couple notable differences. Of course, the top 3 are the same in both. Ripnami dropped pretty hard, while Lunatail and Applejam move up. Burn Scarlet, Marosier Blister, and Winter Kinkajou all took a nosedive to F tier after everyone rated them, but Anemone Tamarin managed to hold their spot fairly well. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. I really hope I didn't miss anything bad this time, and thank you for watching.